My brother's best man speech is full of insults about me. They gaslit me when I confronted them. That's right.
How dare they?
My youngest brother, let's call him Phil, got married today, and the ceremony was absolutely beautiful. His bride was stunning, and everything was great and well done. His best man was our other brother, who I'll call Jack. My wife and I weren't part of the wedding party, which is fair because we didn't ask them to be in ours 5 years ago. By the way, this comes from user Death Angel 2010 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, after the ceremony, we did the pictures and a cocktail hour. It was nice to talk to some of our town family and old family friends, and Jack and I were talking about the day they all had, very eventful for my now sister-in-law, but that's another story. And then everybody was called inside for the reception. We go in and have dinner. My wife and I were starting to get kind of tired, but I told her I really want to hear Jack's best man speech, so we agreed to wait. I wish we hadn't. Jack goes up, introduces himself, and starts his speech. Quote, well, about 34 years ago, Mom and Dad got married and decided to try for kids. And they started with the prototype, my older brother. I should have known where this was going. He continued, they realized that, hey, they can do better. So they got it right the second time with me. Mr. Perfect, and I was. Our grandfather would call me Crusher because I would beat up on my older brother as a toddler. We were always opposites and didn't really get along a whole lot. So Mom and Dad decided they needed someone to help him out. And so they had this guy. Now, when he came around, I was like, yeah, he seems all right. So growing up, we terrorized my older brother. Good times. He continued his speech, but I was kind of mentally checked out at that point. I was and still am really upset about it because I have always been the butt of all the jokes in my family. My brothers, my cousins, even my parents. I'm the different one. I'm very emotional and empathic, which is a blessing and a curse. I'm overweight and they're both athletes. Phil actually works for an NHL team. Yeah, he's probably an equipment manager. Dork. I enjoy D&D, reading, and being a nerd. Yeah, at least you do all the cool stuff. Phil is cleaning grown men's hockey pads. And think about that for a second.
Stinky.
They like sports and outdoor activities. You get the idea. I get up and my wife goes to the bathroom before we decide to leave. Jack finds me and is like, are you good? I meant to say at the beginning of my speech that I apologize because my older brother is probably going to get upset. Which doesn't make it better. That makes it worse. You know that you're going to make him upset. I just look at him and say, you're good. But I would have appreciated a heads up that that's what you were going to do. He looks at me and just goes, well, if I did that, I wouldn't have gotten a genuine reaction. I just walked away, met my wife, and we left. I asked her, am I crazy? Was his best man speech really just a ton of shots taken at me? She said, it seems like he was trying to be funny, but not everything landed. And yes, you were the butt of his jokes. I drove home pretty much in silence. I'm tired of always being the butt of all the family jokes. We're supposed to have lunch with extended family tomorrow, and the only reason I'm going is because I only see these family members maybe once a year. I don't want to see Jack or really anyone else from my immediate family. Do I have a right to be upset, or am I being overly sensitive? You do have a right to be upset. However, I will say this. And it's not, again, you do have the right to be upset. We all have a right to the way that we feel. However, I think the optimal way to get this behavior to stop is to, not even let it be acknowledged, right? Just almost like, but at this point, it's been so long that I don't know if the dynamic will change, even if you do start to ignore this sort of toxic, behavior. Yeah, exactly. And if that stops working, maybe they'll quit, or they might go harder and make it worse. It's really, these people are just trash, man. It sucks. Minute Box 3852. Here's the real deal. His parting remarks to you as you were leaving shows he meant to hurt you. He wanted that hurt reaction. He literally said it. Translation, I kind of like you, but I must have the stage, and if my moment in the spotlight is at your expense, I'm gonna make it count. He's the type of person whose favorite motto should be, you'll get over it. I am bro Keitho. Weird to focus a wedding speech on someone who isn't getting married. Very weird. He's got deeper problems and obviously isn't going to work on those. Murphy, 2345 678. Or I guess 2345678. If it gets brought up tomorrow, OP should say something like, yeah, it was kind of weird of you focused so much on me during Phil's wedding. You still trying to one-up me? I thought you had grown past that. And we do have an update. So, before I talk about the lunch, I'll share what happened to the bridal party as it becomes relevant why Phil didn't come. So, the bridal party was careened by a pickup right outside the venue. The truck was going 55 and the girls were stopped. Both vehicles were totaled, but they were adamant to go on with the ceremony and got checked out later. Which is, guys, if you ever get in a giant car accident, go to the hospital. It's okay. So Phil took his wife to the hospital today. No major injuries, thankfully. Yeah, thankfully. You should have gone to if you get hit by a car, go to the hospital. So, on to lunch. Oh, Sam, you missed it. My wife sat down with the family, and we were all chatting. At one point, my uncle goes, Phil's speech was very sweet. I couldn't have given that without crying. My mom says, yeah, he had something prepared because he practiced it with me and he changed it after the wreck. Jack piped up, hey, I had a good speech too. My dad just said it was a good speech. It was all about OP. I just got angry and said I thought it was weird that it was so focused on someone who wasn't even involved at the wedding. He and my dad got quiet and then just continued their conversations with the people next to them. Nice. I avoided eye contact with Jack and we left about 15 minutes later. My wife and I went home and just proceeded to relax since we're finally getting a break from our students. We teach upper elementary. Jack tried to call me once. I let it ring. He didn't leave a voicemail, and then about an hour later, my grandma called asking how lunch was, and she could tell I was upset in my voice. When she asked what's wrong, I told her about being upset with Jack, and she said, I don't think your brother meant it. I just go, then why bring it up? This is all the time. And then everyone wonders why my wife and I don't come around as often or leave early at events. I'm tired of it. She was calm and said, well, your brother can't give a speech and he thinks is funny, but he can't make jokes without insulting someone. Have you told him and your parents how you feel? I said, yes, and that hasn't changed for years. She just says, y'all are going to have to work this out. I told her that I don't want to talk to him right now, and she goes, I know, I understand. You and I are just the afterthought kids. Grandma and I are two peas in a pod and very similar. So that's where we're at. Thank you for the comments and the DMs, and we have a second update. Update number 2.
Update.
Jack tried to gaslight me. I let things sit for a few days and decided that I was in a good headspace to send Jack a text. Hey, I've seen your missed calls, and I am not ready to have a conversation right now. I need you to know that you really hurt me on Saturday. Your speech was nothing but jabs at me for laughs in front of family and friends. Then you tell me that you don't give me a heads up because you wanted a genuine reaction out of me, and that made me feel even worse. I have been upset all weekend about this because nothing that was said felt like it was about Phil and his new wife, but about how you would take shots at me growing up and then got Phil to join you. I told you that we were good at the reception because I wasn't going to make a scene at Phil's reception. They already had a rough day. But then for you and Dad to bring it up again Sunday at lunch, and for Dad to even admit that the speech was all about me, it brought the hurt out to the surface and I couldn't stay quiet. You and Phil are my brothers and I will always love you too. Right now, though, I can't have a conversation with you while I'm this hurt. I can be civil and cordial with you at family gatherings, but nothing more. These jabs and prods at my expense have gone on too long, and they continue to drive a wedge between us. I'm asking for 2 things. 1, please stop with the teasing and jokes at my expense. 2, give me some time to cool off from this. Time will help to mend this, but right now I'm not ready for that conversation. I'll see you on Thursday. I love you.
Oh my God.
I have a feeling that most of this has fallen on deaf ears.
All right, let's finish up this story.
OP, which is good. OP just clearly communicated exactly how I felt, which is normally very good. However, I feel like this is about to be used against you in every possible way. Here's the response a few hours later. I've talked to a bunch of people about this already, and everyone I talked to said that there was nothing wrong with my speech, and I didn't say anything to degrade you or your character. I think you took everything I said way out of context, and you are like way overthinking everything. Like, you should just think about hockey more like me. The other thing I was also told is that the best man speech is supposed to be a joke and never taken seriously. Dude, I don't even know anything about weddings, and I know that that's not true. That is completely not true. Also, I've been told by many people that they have heard similar speeches.
Oh my God.
Mom and dad wanted a child, then they had me, the perfect child, and the third one was a complete accident. Nothing I said was hurtful or demeaning. Also, why is it that if they said, if I took you out and said our cousin's name or someone else, then the speech is fine? That tells me that you personally think there is a lot of truth and you really don't know how to actually just have a laugh. Growing up, I always hated that stupid nickname Crusher, and you know that. What was said that was so hurtful exactly? And dad never said the speech was about you. You literally in the speech was like, yeah, remember when we used to like totally rag on him because he like sucks and he was bad, and then I was born and I'm perfect, and like the third guy came along, I'm like, he's cool, so we like ganged up on the first guy. That's about your brother, stupid. I was angry and my wife could see I was on the verge of tears. I called my grandma and asked to go to her house to talk. When I got there, she goes, so what's up, kid? You know, Jack feels really bad about this situation. He was talking to me about it last night. And I go, really? Because that's not what this text says. I read her the conversation and she just goes, he's a booty. He's a booty hole that doesn't want to admit that he's wrong. We talked for a little while longer, and she's like, you are not overreacting here. If this was a one-time thing, I would say you are, but you have been putting up with this crap your whole life. We finished talking. I helped her fix her phone to the car connection and went home. Not feeling better, but feeling validated. I love just the little sprinkle of like grandma tech support there. It's like, we finished talking. I assisted her connecting her phone to her car Bluetooth for the 17th time. And then I went home. A few hours later, Phil called. We were checking in on how his wife was doing. And she goes, like I got hit by a truck. See, now that's the way that you phrase that. LOL, I'm glad she can kind of laugh about it. He goes, we actually wanted to check on you and see how you were doing. We noticed you guys had left at some point without saying goodbye. I apologized for it and told him no, I wasn't okay. I read him and his wife the text messages, and his wife just goes, that's BS. We talked yesterday and I ripped into him. His speech was not appropriate and you were definitely targeted. Phil added in, at first I didn't see a problem, but when the two of us drove home and talked, I could see how it could have been taken. And we're both really sorry that was done at your expense. But you know what I'll never be sorry for that's done at Max's expense? Him donating every last dollar to his name to the stream whenever we go live at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube and Facebook, and also Twitch and TikTok. Yeah, all you gotta do is tap our profile.
Just tap
and you
our
are
profile.
in, and we might even be live right now. Yeah, let's finish this one off. We talked a little longer and ended with his wife saying, we've got your back on this one. Jack is a bully, and I get why you and your wife don't come around as often because you don't want to be around that. Just know that I DGAF what his opinion is, and a lot of the time when you guys leave things, I call him out on his crap, and he says to you and about you. Phil echoed her sentiment, and we said goodbye, and we'll see each other Thursday for Thanksgiving. And that is the end of that story.
Whew.
And again, yeah, it's like, you know, your brother's bullying you.
Mm.
You don't need to put up with that.
No
No
way.
No.